This is the Sports Content Game Plan, the podcast where we go behind the scenes with the creators shaping how we see sports today. I'm your host, Isaac Solina, and each week I have conversations with the people behind the videos, photos, stories, and strategies that brings the game to life. We talk creativity, storytelling, and the real work that happens behind every highlight. In today's episode, I'm joined by Teila Washington, Director of Digital and Social Media at SFA Athletics. We talk about the fun and challenging parts of working in college athletics, her day-to-day workload, how social media impacts recruiting, and the athletes' personal brands, plus much more. Let's get into it. Teila, welcome to the Game Plan.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you for joining. I'm also very excited for this episode. And before we get into it, I have a few quick questions to start out with. So, do you have a favorite channel or social media?
So right now, my favorite social media channel to actually look at and engage with, the Detroit Pistons do an amazing and phenomenal job with their social media. San Antonio Spurs does a phenomenal job. I'm really big into the NBA, and so I'm always looking and seeing what those professional teams are doing in terms of how they're sharing their content, how they're engaging with their fans, community, showcasing their athletes, and those two are my top two faves right now.
Do you have any favorite type of content?
I love kind of behind the scenes of the players type of content, not just the action photos or the in-game content, kind of the outfits, game day arrivals. I love those contents because you get to see each player's individuality with their outfits. I like whenever they kind of sit down and ask them questions besides, cats or dogs. I remember the Spurs did one and they asked one of the players their favorite book. And he went into this whole thing about his favorite book, and him and another player had a little book club going on. And so that was actually really fun to watch and again, get to know the players beyond favorite food, cat or dog, favorite color type of thing.
You mentioned a few of them already, but do you have any creators or brands that you are inspired by?
Right now, Hannah Peary, she works for the Houston Rockets. I actually got to meet her at a conference back in May, the Gondola Conference, so that was actually pretty cool. Her, and then I can't remember her name, but she was also at the Gondola Conference. She does a kind of NBA reactions. I can't remember her name, but she went viral because she does reaction videos and things like that. And she's I don't know, I just think she's pretty cool. So I get inspired by her all the time as well.
You have any favorite or best DM you have ever received?
I don't have. Do you mean that I've received from one of these social accounts that I manage, or a personal DM?
Be both. So if you have any,
Both.
just anyone that comes to mind.
I don't think not any that really comes to mind. Yeah, I don't have any that comes to mind right now. Sorry.
No, you don't have to. And if you look at content, sports content, and how would you describe the perfect content in 3 words?
Emotional, engaging, and vivid. That's how I would describe the perfect content.
And as I mentioned, I'm excited to get into this conversation with you because I'm also excited to learn more about college sports and this college sports world and being creative in that environment, because I myself has no experience from it myself, and also because it might differ a lot from professional sports world, but also especially for me coming from Europe, as we have totally different systems. So it's
Yes.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So if I'm correct, you are the Director of Digital and Social Media at the SFA Athletics.
Yes, you're correct. Yes.
So then how many sports are we actually talking about under this athletics department?
So we have, I want to say, 17 or 18 varsity sports. And so I am in charge of the digital and creative strategy behind showing them on all platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter or X. So yeah, so there's quite a few teams here.
To me, that sounds both very fun and also daunting at the same time. So how does it feel for you?
You described it perfectly. Very fun, but also daunting, because I mean, it is a lot of fun. Like, I get to showcase 18 different sports separately. I get to create their own voice, and I think I've done a pretty great job at that. But it's daunting as well because you have to make sure that you're showcasing or you're trying your best to showcase each team equally. And sometimes it's easier and sometimes it's harder, just depending on the team, the season, and what's kind of going on. So it's fun because, again, no day is the same, no hour is the same for me, but daunting because you have to. Sometimes I feel like I'm not doing enough.
Those not maybe familiar with all the college levels, how big is SFA of a school compared to
So,
like in the US overall?
so we are a mid-major Division 1 um, athletic program. So we have about 500 student athletes in our entire department. So for those who like don't know, I'm trying to see like some other schools. I can't really think of any right now, but I think if you just say D1 mid major, they'll kind of like get the gist of what that means.
So your department, is it how many people are you working with? Either digital or communications or these things?
So I'm a part of the external affairs department here in the athletic department, and there is my boss, and then there's me, who is the director of digital and social media, and in my department, it's just me. And then we have three SIDs, and then one director of creative video, and then one director of marketing and fan engagement.
I guess you get to also do like a lot of, you have to be on the ground also a lot during a lot of different games during the whole season,
Yes.
I guess.
Yes. So I go to about 90% of all of our home games. It just depends, especially during crossover season. I can't make all the games. And then I'll travel to like some big out of town games as well as like if we're in playoffs or tournaments, I'll travel to those as well. So yes, very boots on the ground when it comes to being at like all of the sporting events and things like that.
When I think about college athletics, it feels like
Hmm.
it's a bit of a different or unique ecosystem with, because you also have all maybe all with all the recruiting and the student athletes and all these things. So how is it for you? How many different things do you also have to juggle in your job?
I know for me, I juggle anywhere between being a photographer, doing graphic design. Today we have media days, so I have to photograph one of our stations as well as get social content. So I'm working two stations today at our media day. Um, During, let's say if it's a game, I'm doing graphics. I'm posting to the social media, and then if we need someone, I'll do photography as well. So that's like all the mini hats that I juggle in my kind of like workflow.
Like you mentioned, you're not responsible for just for one team or like an entire athletic department. So do you,
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with SFA in that sense,
Mhm.
but do you have like a few sports that are bigger in a way at your school, or how do you prioritize different sports, or how do you try to get the attention to all the different sports?
Um, so in college athletics, we have what's called revenue generating sports. So that's going to be your football, men's and women's basketball, and then depending on the school, the other sports. Like, for instance, at Texas, maybe like volleyball is a huge generating sport there. A&M, things like that. Not saying that volleyball team does not generate revenue, but we kind of have the big three. And in terms of like prioritizing someone, like I said, I try to equally share the love because, our soccer team is just as important as our football team. But in the realm of college athletics, you do have your revenue generating sports that you kind of give a little bit more to. And I do hate to say that, but that's just kind of how college athletics works. But again, I try my best to spread the love equally. But there are times where it's like, hey, like I cannot do this because this is happening. And I'll like lean on an intern and say, hey, I need you to cover this sport because I have to cover these other two sports type of thing.
We get into even more of the your day to day. How did you yourself get started in this field?
So my journey was kind of all over the place in terms of I didn't immediately start working in college athletics fresh out of college. Now, while I was in college, I did have a student assistant job with the marketing department at Baylor University with the Baylor Spirit Squads, and so I did that, which was amazing. I loved my time getting to do that, and then after that, I know I went to work in college athletics. I just wasn't sure what I wanted to do in college athletics. I thought I wanted to work in communications, so like be an SID. Quickly learned I did not want to do that. I did not want to write stories. I just didn't want to do that. So then I decided to just teach until I figured it out. So I taught graphic design, journalism, audio and video production classes at the high school level. And then I always had my foot in the door with cheer. So I always did things with cheer. And then after that, I moved to San Antonio, Texas, where I worked with at St. Mary's University with the stunt team. So I kind of did a little bit of everything there. I did operations, communications, academics. I did a lot there, and then I was like, okay, I know I want to work in college athletics. Let me find my niche. And it's actually funny that I am the director of digital social media because there were times where I didn't even have social media. Like I was like, I don't want it. It's too much. It's too much to deal with. Um, Even now, sometimes I'll just kind of deactivate my Instagram. So I'm glad it was activated when you decided to contact me, or else I would have missed out. But there's just times where I'm like, social media is just too much. But I think it's because that's all I do every day. Like I'm constantly creeping on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, looking at trends, seeing what other departments are doing, and just trying to, just get new ideas and also go, okay, like this can work for us, this can't work for us, type of thing like that. But yeah, so that's kind of my journey to where I am today. But I've always had a foot in athletics. Like I said, cheer was always one of those things. Like it's honestly never going away. And I work for a huge cheer company where I do a ton of things with them. And so I've always been immersed in athletics, and I knew I was wanted to work in college athletics. I just didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. Which again, it's really funny that I'm working in social media because I am not a social media girl at all.
I hear you. It's like you say, you're always scrolling, always online for your work, but then your
hmm
personal accounts is like my wife sent. My wife says, have you seen the reels I've sent you? I haven't been on my own account for
I
like three
haven't.
days.
Yeah, I haven't been on my own account. I think I have. I just posted, I think on Monday. So I have three posts on my account right now. Two are from Gondola, and then one is just another like sports photo that I have. So I have three posts, but there's times where I'm like posting three times a day on one account. Or, right now I try to post on each account every week. So it's like I'm making all these posts for all these other accounts. And it's just like very draining in a sense to make a post for my own account. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that, or oh, I don't want to edit that picture, or oh, I don't want to think of a caption. I've been thinking about captions all day. I've been editing all day. I've been like strategizing all day. So yeah.
Now in this position, working more like with all the college athletics, was there anything that surprised you?
I think what surprised me, honestly, was the how well I was able to adapt to creating voices for essentially 18 different people. And I say people because you do have like a social media presence. You have your voice, you have your style, you have like you just it's you're creating like a person like you're following or whatever. So I think that was just very surprising how well I was able to do that. I laugh all the time and I'm like, well, I do always have multiple voices going on in my head, so it's not that hard to create, multiple personalities for multiple different sports and things like that. And then once you get to know each sport and not even everyone on the team, like I know our football team has 80 or so people on their roster, maybe even more than that. You get to know a few people and then you know the dynamic of the team. Basketball, our men's basketball team has 15. You get to know a couple of the players, you know the dynamic of that team. Even the coaching staff, you get to know the coaching staff. You can create the voice very easily, and I was very surprised at how well I was able to do that essentially, because it's one thing to run your own personal account. You get to be whoever you want to be on that, or if you're even like representing a brand. But for here, I'm representing not just an entire athletic department, but also again each team that makes up our athletic department.
Yeah, because that was actually one of my questions that I prepared or thought about, like how how do you work with so many different sports, and does every sport require a different storytelling approach? And yeah, I think like now you say yeah, it feels like you have a different storytelling approach.
Yes. Like our women's basketball team, it's very queen, royalty, pretty princess, like very girl type of style. Our football team is very gritty, very hard, go hard, and like it's very like grunge, but in a great way. A little bit unhinged sometimes. Let's say our track and field team, because we have indoor, outdoor, and cross country. So I try to make different voices for them as well, and but they're very braggy, especially our men's. They're very braggy. So I do get a little bit unhinged with their captions. I remember one caption was we had one, and I said, "It's a motion party." Like the song "Motion Party" is what I reference. You can't get in. Like we win. You can't get in over here, type of thing. Our volleyball team's very low key, in a sense of creating that voice. And then my main account is kind of where I let my personal personality show, where I kind of comment things here and there. Our conference did the viral LeBron jersey swap trend last week, and I commented from our athletics page, and I was like, can't talk here, email me, and I added LeBron James kind of thing, and it was just like super funny, and everyone loved the comment. But I was like, that's literally just how I talk sometimes. Like I just say random things, and it's very our athletic page or like our main accounts is very hype, very positive. Like if you're not our lumberjack, what are you type of thing. You're missing out over here. We do it big, we do it better over here type of thing. So it's really fun to create those voices.
You also have to think about, or do you have to think about also then have a consistent athletic brand voice, but also each team have their own personality, as you say.
hmm
So how do you work with both things?
I think it's just about knowing how I want to create those brand voices and sticking to it. Like for instance, trends, they're coming out all the time. And so I have to go, okay, this trend will not work for the main page, but it'd be phenomenal for the football team. This trend will not work for our football team, but beach volleyball will eat this up. This trend, it's not going to really work for our baseball team, but soccer is going to it's going to kill over on the soccer page. So just again, knowing your teams, knowing your players, your athletes, your coaching staff, also knowing the branding of your athletic department and what you want to do, because I have to like I have interns and they want to do all these cool things and funny things, and I always have to ask them, does this kind of align with our brand? Yes or no? And if it does, tell me how. If it doesn't, do we know why it doesn't, type of thing. One of my favorite examples to use is LSU. I love LSU, but LSU is they're very unhinged over there, but that's just their culture, right? I don't know if you've ever been to Louisiana or if you know anything about LSU sports, but it's Louisiana. It's just a whole different world over there. But what they do over there will not work here for us, and it's just about being able to have that forethought and that bandwidth to know that and to keep up with it. Because one wrong move, it's like, hey, like, why are we doing this, type of thing? Or I remember I posted not too long ago, actually. I just gathered a bunch of photos of some football players praying before the game, right? And I posted the photos, and the caption was, I can do all things. That was it. And people loved it because where I'm at, it's a very religious environment that we live in. But I remember one comment going, "Why are we posting about God? Like, what's happening here?" But it was like one comment out of the 50. But that comment is what stuck with me, and I'm like, okay. And then I had to like go do a lot of creeping and things. Like, okay, like this person is not even from East Texas. I don't even think they're truly a fan of SFA athletics. I think it was just one off comment, but you just have to think about things like that. Whereas I know our football team is very big. Like our boys pray together before, after they run out, they stop in the end zone, they pray. That's something that they do. That is our culture. Everyone loves it. But if you're an outsider kind of going, hey, like, why are we promoting religion? And it's like, we're not promoting religion. We're just promoting something that's a part of who we are. And it did very, very well because again, that's just the culture. I know that. I know our brand. We're very supportive of all of our guys and kind of what they believe in and what they want to do. So yeah, it gets a little tricky here and there, but like I said, you just have to have that bandwidth to like be able to see all of that. And I always talk about panoramic view. Like you have to not just see the big picture, you have to see the entirety of the picture. It's like you can take a picture of the Grand Canyon and it's just whatever you're looking at. But in my position, I have to see the entirety of that Grand Canyon and know exactly where everything is in that panoramic view.
Does that vision come to life in your day-to-day work? You mentioned before you had some media days and stuff today. So how is your day-to-day looking most of the
Um,
time?
well, today's Thursday, so we have a media day today. I had a mini one on Tuesday, so I didn't even come into the office on Tuesday. So I spent my whole day there. If there's not any media days, there's like meetings, so I have meetings throughout the week. Some meeting days are longer than the others, and then if I don't have any meetings or media days or any recruit shoots or anything like that, then I'm either doing graphics, editing photos, or coming up with some like content strategy, checking in with coaches and like making sure we're not missing anything. Like, hey, when is, this person coming? Like right now we're in the summer, so it's locking down those return dates. Like, okay, when are we coming back? When are we moving in? So it's a lot of planning, content planning, strategy, things like that. But each day looks different, and I can have a to-do list for that day and I could get through the entire to-do list, or something may come up and I can get absolutely nothing done on that to-do list because I had to jump in somewhere else and help do something over here. So my day to day is truly never the same. So it's like, oh, she's rambling, but like my day to day is just never the same. And right now it's a little bit different because it is summer, but when everything starts back up, it may look a little different because we have game days. So preparing for socials and things like that for the game, making sure we have those staffed creatively, meetings, practices. So it just depends on what I walk into that day, how that day is going to go.
You mentioned recruiting because recruiting is one thing that's unique to college sports in a way.
hmm
So how much do you think content or social media today influence where athletes choose to play?
I think it influences it pretty heavily because again, like I don't know what I was creeping on, but I was just trying to find some inspiration for our graphics and things, our decks for this coming up season. And I had to tell someone, I was like, it sounds so silly, but a recruit will pick where they may choose to go based on the graphic that you're going to give him or her, because they want to see themselves on that cool graphic. They want to see themselves in those cool photo shoots. They want to see themselves in those cool videos. And granted, some people don't care. Some people don't care at all. But we live in such a social media heavy world where, I mean, I have two phones and my screen time on both phones is well over 12 hours. Like, because I'm constantly scrolling or seeing, yeah, again, like researching. I'm researching all the time, like just what's happening and what's going on outside of the bubble that I've created. So I think it plays a huge part in how it affects recruiting. Just because, again, like, how do I know if I want to come there, or how do I know if I see myself there if I can't visually put myself there, like put myself on this graphic, put myself in this get to know you video, put myself on that field because you got that cool shot of me catching that football. If I can't see myself receiving that content, then I can't see myself there. So I think it plays a huge part.
Do you think recruits today expect a strong digital presence from the schools also?
Yeah, yeah, I think that they do. Like I said, we were at a media day, and one of the players came in and he wanted a particular photo, and he says, I have to get it for the gram. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. Like, sure, like I'm not gonna post this on our social media, but I will get it for you and you can post it on yours. And I think that, like, even if I would have just said no, it would have been like, oh, kind of thing. But yeah, a lot of them were like, oh, I need this, or hey, can I see that photo you took? And I'll show it to him. Can you get that to me? And I'm like, I'm in the middle of something right now, friend. Like, I can't get it to you now. But yeah, to answer your question, absolutely.
College athletes today, or overall in society, have to build, your personal brands more today,
Mm-hmm.
and all the athletes today are also already building their personal brands earlier
Mm-hmm.
than before. So has that, you mentioned one thing, like people ask for photos, but how has it changed your work in any way, and or has it helped your work in any way?
I don't think it's changed it. Well, it probably has changed it just because I I know what the players are kind of wanting, and so and the athletes they want, so it helps for sure. Like, I know this player, he likes kind of beauty shots is what I call them. He doesn't really want any action photos. He wants the beauty shots, like close ups, sweat down his face, type of things like that. And then I know that this other player over here, she wants action. She wants all action, running up and down the court, time, things like that. So I think it helps a little bit because I already know what I'm walking into, and I know, like, for me, like our main page, that's where our biggest following is. I like to post fan photos, just because we're already posting the players on their respective social media channels, and our fans love to see themselves on our main account. And so walking into a game, I know for sure, hey, I haven't gotten this person sitting here, because like you can kind of know where everyone's going to sit, so you're not always getting the same people or like things like that. So I make sure whenever I walk into something, I know exactly kind of my game plan. So it does help. But I don't think it's really changed because I already kind of had these thoughts like, okay, this is what I kind of need to do. It just helps me it helps my workflow a little bit better, for sure.
Your workflow overall, what tools are you using the most, or what helps you create the things that you need to do?
So I mentioned before, I have two phones. I have my personal phone, and then I have my work phone, just so I don't mix anything. Like, at one point before I got my other phone, I looked at my camera roll and it was all SFA Sports. And when I tell you, at one point I was scrolling and I could not find one photo of myself in it. And I said, this cannot do. I cannot do this. So I went to AT&T and I was like, I need another phone. Please give me another phone. So I have the two phones, so that does help. Um, I have a MacBook Pro, I have an iPad, so if I'm at a game, I can follow the stats on my iPad or watch the game live, but I usually follow the stats on my iPad. I If it's broadcast, I'll watch it on my computer. Adobe Creative Suite, so Photoshop, InDesign Premiere Pro. We use Hootsuite to post on all of our social accounts. Sometimes I'll do it manually, depending on what I kind of need. I'll do it manually, but for the most part, I use Hootsuite to just get a schedule post as well. I use Asana for my content calendars to where I have like a main one of what I kind of want to do. And then I have one with each of our SIDs, like, hey, don't forget this person's birthday is coming up. Don't forget they have this practice this day. Don't forget we're supposed to go here this day to get this content. So I use a lot of tools to stay afloat over here.
I hear you. It's the same over here.
Yeah,
You have to
yeah.
use all these. Like for me, Canva is like the biggest thing I use day to day, I think, for me.
Oh, I listen. I love Canva. I know people kind of like aren't big Canva fans, but we use Photoshop mainly. And if I need something like super quick, I'll utilize Canva. I actually like Canva better for my cutouts. I If I have to do like a cutout of like a player or something, I will put it in Canva, cut it out, and then take it over to Photoshop because there's just something about the way Photoshop cuts out things I just don't like. It's just not my jam. It's not my favorite. So I do love Canva, yes.
And you mentioned like working in this field, you always scroll, try to find inspiration. And when
Hmm.
I, either for this podcast or just for my other
Hmm.
work, I usually see a lot of creatives from college
Hmm.
athletics or creators are very, what do you say, experimental and very creative people I see working in college sports. So
Hmm.
do you think colleges are willing to experiment more on social media than professional teams, or why do you think that is?
I think that it's professional teams that are willing to experiment more, and I'm gonna say that based off of me because again, like I'll have interns bring me ideas, and I'm just like, does this go with our brand? Yes or no? And I feel like professional teams just have a little bit more freedom in what they do, what they post, because they don't really have any like rules or stipulations to abide by like college athletics does. Now, some college athletic departments are different than others. Like I said, LSU, Texas, Ohio State. Like I cannot do some things that they do. Like I just can't do it. And so I think again, it's just knowing the culture and the audience. And with professional sports, you have it's mainly, I mean, it's everyone, right? There's no like huge stakeholders the way that we have. So I think that professional sports get to be a little bit more spicy, is what I like to call it, than the average college athletic department.
And you sent over your favorite content that you have published. It's a carousel with the players' pre-game arrivals. So
Yes,
what was so special, or was it your favorite?
I'm gonna pull it up so I can like look at it and talk through it. So I love this just because, again, it got to show our players individual styles because, like, on the court, they're all wearing the same thing. And you don't really get to know them. I remember this day, one of the players, his name is, we called him Cece, Krishan Christmas. He texted me and he goes, can we please do an outfit arrival? And I was like, why not? I'm not going to say no to this. And I had been wanting to do it, but sometimes the timing just wasn't working out for us. But this one I was like, okay, he asked, let me make sure I go out of my way to do this. He asked, the players were excited about it. And it was just a lot of fun. And you got to see each, again, player's individuality. The first one is JC. So he's kind of iced out, got his watch, got his chain, has his grill in. And I never would have thought that that's how he would have showed up. After that, we have Cam, and I kind of knew Cam's style a little bit because I had seen him out. He likes the bedazzle things are kind of in right now for the men, and So he likes that. Designer, I kind of saw that one. Next we have Ack, very sweet. He showed up in a suit and tie, like three piece. I think it's three piece suit. I don't know men's clothing like that, but vest, slacks, coat, nice shoes, and I was like, okay, all right, that makes sense. Like that made sense. And then CC, I'd kind of seen him out a little bit, like outside of practicing games, and so he was very on brand for CC and how he dressed. One of our players, Keon, he showed up in a lavender, comfort sweatsuit, and I never would have thought he would have showed up in lavender. And so when he showed up in lavender, I was like, you know, that's my favorite color. He goes, no, no way. And it's funny because when I posted that, I tagged Comfort in it, and they ended up like sending him the ambassador thing for it. And it was like it was just really cool. Sea green designer shoes, shorts, things like that. Marcus, same thing. Their shoes were super fun. Johan, designer. So it was just a lot of fun to like look at their outfits and go, that makes sense. Or look at their outfits and go, I never would have thought you would have showed up like again, JC super iced out with his grill. Like that, I think that's the first photo. He has his grill, his watch, his chain, and it was just my favorite, and everyone loved it because it was something different that I posted, um, and it got the players like super excited, and they won the game too. So I like to think that I had a part in helping them win that game because they dressed up. And you know the saying, when you look good, you feel good, you play good. And it was just a super fun thing to do, and I want to do it a lot more. Again, we have a very short staff, so we'll see how many times I can make that work for us. But it was just a fun time. Stressful on my end because I was like, how do I coordinate this? Because it was a double header, so I didn't want to take away from the women's game, but I wanted to give the guys what they wanted, kind of thing. So I was juggling that, and I remember pulling one of our photographers and I said, hey, this is what I want, this is what I need, and I need you to make it happen. We've got maybe 10 minutes to get this going. I was coordinating with the players. I was like, we've got, this is your window and we have to make it happen. So making, again, seeing it from the idea, because again, why not? Like, if you're going to ask me, can we do this? And if it's not going to hurt anyone, if it's not going to put us in a bad light, and if it's going to showcase you to kind of hit those three words I said earlier, I think it was emotional, vivid, and engaging. It was emotional because the fans saw themselves in those guys at that time. Like, there's recruits who probably looked at that and was like, oh wow, like I have those same shoes, or hey, I have those same shorts, or I have a grill too, or whatever. Engaging because the fans like, oh, look at what Cam has on, look what Cece's wearing, like look at what Ack is wearing. Ack looks amazing. So it was engaging. It was just vivid, like where you just saw everything. It was like living in color at that, like just looking at the photos. I don't know if you had the opportunity to swipe them, but it was just vivid. Like, so that was my favorite one that we produced for sure. Very hectic because I was like, how am I gonna make this work without taking away from our women's game, but giving the guys what they asked me for, and we made it work, pulled it off. Took the photos, got them edited, posted, and it was I that when you asked like for my favorite piece of content, I knew exactly what I wanted to like share with you.
And if we look on the other side of this, not
Mhm.
like your own, but if you look at sports content overall, do you have any pet peeves? Not to like put anyone else down, but when you see content
No.
online, it's like, I just want to change this or edit this. It's going to be so much better.
Yeah, I think I don't I'd have to see it in the moment. I know I'm not really a true fan of like a ton of graphics. I kind of was saying like not everything needs to be a graphic. Like we could have done some nice photos and just put it in the caption. Or another piece of content that I started doing was our Jack's Win post, where I take a very emotional, vivid, engaging photo and I just put Jack's Win on it. And that's all we need. That's you see kind of what I need you to see from that game, because it's the in game content, and you know that we won. And it doesn't have to be anything super elaborate. Like, and I that's probably one of my pet peeves is sometimes people make things so elaborate that it's no longer engaging. Because I'm like, okay, like that's too much. I'm just gonna keep scrolling on it. It doesn't stop the scroll. And I think, and people may say some of the stuff we do doesn't stop the scroll, but I think something I'm like, oh, like I wouldn't have done that, or I wouldn't have posted that. Cringe content. I remember a trend was explain your relationship in your sports terms, and I just thought it was cringy, especially when the male teams were doing it, because I'm a woman, so it was like I would hate to think that I got something going on and this player's describing the relationship as he's gonna go to the transfer portal. Like, I just thought it was very cringy, and I thought it was more harmful than good, because I thought about the other person on the other side of it and them having to see that, and a guy thinking he's gonna, start a serious relationship with this girl, and she's going, yeah, I'm about to get rid of my entire roster type of thing. So that's why I wasn't like a fan of that trend. And I was just like, oh, that's very cringy. Can we do something else? So like, to answer your question, when people overdo things, they sometimes, again, things, not everything needs to be a graphic. We can simplify it, and then just very cringy trends I absolutely do not like.
If we look ahead, what excites you about being in the college sports creative field?
I think what really excites me, because people ask all the time, like, how am I not going crazy? Because again, it's in my department, it's just me. I have a few creative workers and interns, but for the most part, it's just me. I remember I was on a Slate webinar, and I think it was with the Detroit Pistons, and they have 5 people to do what I do. And so, what excites me is just overcoming the challenges where I am one person to someone else's department's 5, working through the challenges and issues that I'm facing. Because I'm not going to say my job is perfect. I'm not going to say I live in a perfect world. Again, I kind of like talked earlier about, sometimes I do graphics, sometimes I do photography. For the most part, I have to run all socials. I have to oversee the content strategy over all of our social accounts. Um, but I'm excited to implement. I have a lot of changes that I want to do for the upcoming year. So implementing those changes and seeing how successful they will be, because I know that they will be successful. I just want to see how successful they're going to be. So that really excites me.
For young creators who want to break into the college sports creative field, what are your best plays or your best tips for people trying to start doing this?
Be multifaceted. Like, don't pigeonhole yourself into one creative avenue. Like, if your thing is graphic design, you need to know how to run socials as well. If your thing is photography, go ahead and pick up videography. If you can pick up a big three: photography, videography, social media, even better. But don't pigeonhole yourself like, oh, like I only want to do socials. Because sometimes I know, like for me, you have to be able to do the graphics, you have to be able to take the photos and edit the photos. You just have to be able to know how to do a little bit of everything, which I know there's that back and forth on your director of social media is not a content creator type of thing, but that's just where we are. That's where we are, especially in sports. We are everything. Again, I am 5 people right now, and even if you break that down, I'm probably 7 people right now. So you have to be able to wear a ton of different hats, have a ton of different talents, and it's just going to make you more marketable. Because if it comes down to you and someone else for a position, like even if they are asking for someone who just does photography, if you can say that you do videography as well, you will be hired like a lot quicker than someone else. Because again, your resumes are fairly the same number of years experience, same education level, things like that. But this person over here, hey, if we need her to dabble in some videography, she can do it, or vice versa. She's mainly videography, but if she can dabble in photography, awesome. If she can dabble in social media, yes, because everyone needs social media right now. And so that's my big advice and tip for young creators who are wanting to break into honestly anything creative. Like you have to be able to do multiple jobs and wear multiple hats.
When you look forward for yourself, what impact do you hope with your work has on your student athletes or the fans or the whole program?
I've always been a change the world kind of girl. Like I've always wanted to change the world in some way, shape, or form, whether that's inspire someone to do something. Like one of my former interns, I kind of said her and I was like, hey, what do we want to do here? And she was like, I wasn't actually all that interested in social media, but like because you made me do it, like those are jobs I'm looking for now. And she's a multifaceted young woman, mainly videography and photography. But again, I was like, hey, I am in a bind. I cannot run 7 accounts right now. Can you take 2 off my hands? I can do 5, but like I can't do 7. And I made her run our baseball, or I didn't make her, but like strongly encouraged her to run our baseball and softball socials, and she was like, didn't think I was gonna like it, but I absolutely love it. So I want to make sure that I inspire people. I want to make sure that I make people feel seen and heard and things like that. Again, going back to the men's basketball outfit posts, like that simple ask meant everything to those guys, and I was like, I'm honestly just doing my job to the best of my ability. But if it makes you feel good, and if it changes just a little bit, then I've done my job.
Thank you so much for joining today. It's been really fun and really,
Yeah.
I learned a lot talking about
Oh,
college sports today.
yeah.
It was really fun.
Well, I'm
And
glad.
my
I'm
last
glad.
question, and my last question always on this pod is if you have any person that you would like to hear on this podcast.
I think it would be great to reach out to. He works at the University of Kentucky right now. His name is Austin. I don't. I know his last name, but I think I always mispronounce it, so I'm not even gonna try. But he's actually a really cool cat. Like he's super cool. We met via LinkedIn, and I just love keeping up with all the things that he's doing, and vice versa. He's always very supportive about what I've got going on here. So, and he's been in the game a little bit longer than I have, so I think it'd be great to hear his stories and where he's been, what he's doing, how he got there, type of thing. So he's pretty cool. He's pretty cool.
Thank you so much, Teila, for today. As I
Yeah.
have enjoyed it really much.
Yeah, thank you so much again for having me. Again, when I got the DM from you, because I do remember like seeing you at the gondola conference that we were at back in May, but we just didn't talk or anything like that. So I just was like, because I think you had your hair pulled back in a ponytail. I was like, oh, what a cool guy! Like, what a cool guy. He's got his hair back ponytail, like just super cool. And then like when you followed me on Instagram or however that went about, and then DM me, I was like, wait, this is so awesome because like I did actually want to come up and just introduce myself, but I just didn't. Like, I think I had hit my wall on introductions that day when I had finally like saw you, because you know how it goes when it comes to networking. You're like, okay, I'm done doing this whole thing. Like, I just need to just sit in silence for a little bit, and it was my silent moment when I had saw you in Colorado. But I'm super ecstatic that you reached out, and super excited I got to be a part of this.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.